Welcome to the lesson on Cobra's Scheduling and Dispatch program. I'm currently at the JobMaster Pro main menu. We can access the scheduling program by clicking on the Schedule button on the JobMaster Pro main menu, or if we go into any center screen throughout the whole system, as I'll go into Customer Center, we can press F12 at any time to get into the Scheduling and Dispatch Center. Now, as you can see, I have the current day displayed in the Dispatch Center. Now, before I get into the workings of it, I want to take you into the defaults. So if you click on File on the menu bar and click on Default Options, I want you to take a look at these because there are some new defaults that we've added to the program. First of all, you can set the start time and the end time for your normal day range, so that when you schedule somebody for full days, you don't have to set that day range or time range for any individual day. Now, you also notice that you have a refresh option here. You don't have to use this, but it is kind of neat. You will always be able to refresh your dispatch center screen by clicking the dispatch or rather refresh button on the menu bar, but you could have Cobra automatically refreshing your display every so many minutes. Now, I wouldn't have it refreshing the display every minute or so because every time you're working in the system you can be interrupted by the refresh feature. So I would set that to maybe be every 15 minutes or 30 minutes, but try it out. It's up to you. And each user on the network can control their own default options here as well. You also notice some other options, view schedule options, and you can include closed jobs on here just if you wanted the visual of which jobs were closed during the day. The scheduling options. The most popular ones are to skip Saturday and Sunday for scheduling purposes. And then you can also have Cobra ignore conflicts in the system, which means that if you overschedule somebody, it won't tell you that you're doing it. You will have a visual indicator on the screen, as you'll see, if you do overschedule somebody. So that's kind of a personal preference. But do save your options, and then we're off and running. Now, from this dispatch center, we can do just about everything we need to. So I'm going to show you how it works. And then I'm going to show you how to schedule a new job right from here. And then we'll go through the process of scheduling a job that's just being set up in the program. Okay, so as we look at this, you can see the toolbar here has a shortcut to all of the main features of the program. And I'm going to go through many of these as I show you how to use this program. There's that refresh button, by the way. You have also a week view and a day view in here. But literally everything that's done in the scheduler is done right from this main screen. So, for example, the week view doesn't have some of the functionality that we used to have in the older version because it's all done on the main dispatch center. You also notice your status flags. We added some more status flags because a lot of you said, well, we need more than 4. So you can see as you rest your cursor on each of these flags to indicate visually what that color flag means. For example, light blue ones mean that they're scheduled, green ones mean that they're dispatched, black ones mean that they're finished with the job, blue flag means that there's something that's causing the job to be pending. In other words, you're probably waiting for more parts or something happened on the job. Then red ones mean that you've closed the job. So as you look at these flags here, you can see visually what they mean by the flags that are assigned to each of the boxes. Now, you can navigate your system as well. So you can use these bars or the calendar to select the date that you want to look at. So if I go forward the next day, I'll get next day's schedule. I can go back. You see the total assignments for the day over at the right. And then you see some navigation buttons going down the left side of the screen. And that is just to navigate up or down, left or right through this window that you see on the screen now, instead of having to, say, scroll around it. You can still scroll if you like scrolling. But if you want to quickly get to different areas, up or down, left or right, use these navigation buttons at the left side of the screen. Now, let me talk about some of the limit options as well. You can limit your dispatch center view to any number of these limit options here. Very simply put, you just select what you want to limit it to, and when you do that, what Cobra will do is fill this options drop down to the corresponding limit to, and then it will, when you select an option from here, it will then limit the display to what you selected. So if you wanted to see just one customer's schedule, you could select customers in this drop down and then select the exact customer from this drop down. It takes a minute to load the customers list though, because if you have a ton of customers in your scheduler, it will take a minute to load it, so just be aware of that. Or if you have a ton of jobs in your scheduler, same thing, it might take a couple of seconds to load it, which is why I'm not going to do it right now. Now, this is what the dispatch center looks like when you come into it. You have all of these different, what we call cells. And you can do several things with these cells right on the screen here. First of all, if you come in here and you wanted to see who's available to do a job, instead of scrolling up and down and around, you can use this button here called Maximize Minimize Cells. This is kind of nice because here you can get a quick single line view of each of your workers and who might have time to do a job on this day. For example, I can see Greg here would have time after 12:30 to do another job. So you can toggle this. It just opens and shuts the view, or maximizes and minimizes the cell views. Now, I can also double click on any cell to open it up. So if a single worker had more than one job going on the same day, you could get a complete list of them. It's a little easier to read than on the standard size cell. But if you wanted to know more information about a particular job, you can do one of two things. You can either click this info button on the menu bar, or rather the toolbar, or you can just press F2 and get a complete look at that cell and the information for the job. You can also enter notes for a single cell. So once you have a cell highlighted, you can click on your notes button on the toolbar. I almost said menu bar again. It's toolbar, and type in some notes. Whatever it might be. Type in as many notes as you want to. When you save them, then they're saved for that cell. But the thing is, if I press F2 to look for those notes, they aren't there yet because the cell needs to be refreshed. So we click our refresh button, and then the next time you look at the cell and you press F2, there's your notes. So the refresh really is key here if you're entering notes to any of the jobs in here. Okay. Now you can see that all of these jobs are using the standard colors of our flags up here on the toolbar. If I minimize my cell look, you can also see that this worker has a bunch of magenta flags, or purple flags. Purple is the only color that we control, and what that means is that that worker has more than one job scheduled at the same time. So in other words, there was a conflict that was ignored when we set up this worker's schedule. So if I wanted to get a better look at this worker's schedule for the day, I can press F2 And you can see then that because the same worker has more than one schedule for that time frame, that you have them displayed individually, separated out by this asterisk line. That's your indicator that there's been more than one job set up for the worker at the same time. Okay, now if we wanted to print a work order, let's get this back to regular view here. If I wanted to print a work order for any job in the scheduler, I simply click on any cell for that job. I can go up to Options and Create Work Order. So this brings up the work order screen that you already know how to use. It brings the job information over, the job description. You can enter more information for the work order, print them out. Any of that type of stuff is available right here at your fingertips, which is really neat. Now let me show you some of the views in here. You have the ability to do several things using the view screen, and you will also see more options coming in the view area as we finalize the new scheduler program. But if I wanted to look at a single worker schedule, notice that this guy is highlighted right here. If I come in here, actually he should be highlighted, but anyway, that worker should be highlighted. You can double click on him and load his schedule for any date range. You can even edit a worker schedule right in here too, which is cool. And all you do is double click on a schedule record and you can change it right down here. Excellent. Other views is a job schedule. So if you come in here and you want to see the schedule for a particular job, you can type in the job number, or as you can see, you do have your lookup button to look up a job. When you press enter, then all the records for that job do come open. It can be printed, whatever you need to do at this point. I'm going to exit out of here. Now, under reports, you have many different reports that you can print too, like a worker's schedule, although I'll show you some of those on the screen, which are pretty cool, instead of having to go into the reports menu here. But the month calendar, I kind of like this one because when you do the month calendar, you can select to print these different options with the schedule. So when I select these options and then I select the workers that I might want to have on the month schedule, then that information prints out on the schedule. And very easy, very nice to use. You can also preview the week too in this little button, or this little window. So it's very nice, very friendly. Okay, let's talk about adding an existing job to the scheduler that's not already on the scheduler. What I would do is minimize the cells and find the worker that I want to add to the schedule. Now when I highlight that cell by clicking on it, I want to click the New button on the toolbar, and then I can enter a job number enter the schedule information, but I can also select as many workers as I want to this job for the date range selected. So if I want to go out in the future a little bit, there's my normal day range. I could say, oh, I only want them to be out there from 7 to noon, or from 12:30 to 5, whatever. Now this does refresh the schedule whenever you do schedule a new worker or a new several workers to the same job or whatever you're doing in here. So there are some refreshing display refreshings that are going on automatically by the system. Okay, let me exit the scheduler and show you what happens when we enter a brand new job. Let's say that I want to enter a job, brand new job for this customer, and maybe they even have different locations, so I select the location and the job description. All this is the same as you're used to already. So as I click over to the scheduling info side of the screen, you can see now that we've introduced the scheduling end date, start date and end date. So we can right from here see who's available for whatever date range we need to look at. So if I wanted to say, you know, who's going to be available on the 10th, I can get that view in here and use that as a visual indicator as to who might be doing the job. Also, here's my start and end time range. I can assign this job to a single worker. Let's go out a little bit though. I don't want any conflicts here. I want to show you how that works. You can still assign the job to a single worker, but when you save your job, Cobra does its normal save, but when you click OK here, if you've used the scheduling part, it will allow you to also schedule more workers on the same job. So if I wanted this guy and this guy and this guy also to be scheduled on at the same time, all I have to do is select them at the left of the screen here by putting a check mark next to their names, and when I click Save, that's when all the scheduling gets done. This ends the lesson on the scheduling and dispatch program.